Hello, friends. Welcome back to Coffee with Miss T and Flossy. I'm so glad you're here today. So go ahead and grab your favorite cup of coffee, get comfortable, and let's spend a few minutes together. I want to talk to you about something that many of us experience at some point in life. It's about starting over. Maybe you're starting over from losing a job. Maybe you've moved to a new city. Maybe you're beginning again after heartbreak, illness, financial hardship, or a season that didn't go the way you hoped. Starting over can feel exciting, but it can also feel scary. Starting over has been part of my family's story more than once. In fact, we've stepped out on faith and made major moves several times throughout our lives. Every move came with uncertainty. There were questions we couldn't answer. There were moments when we didn't know exactly what was waiting for us. Sometimes we left behind what was familiar because we believed God was leading us somewhere new. But I'll be honest, there were a lot of seasons that didn't make sense. There were moments when I wondered, why was God leading us down a path that seemed so uncertain? But here's what I've learned. Looking back, I can clearly see that God was covering us every step of the way. What felt uncertain then became evidence of His faithfulness later. Sometimes we only recognize God's protection when we look in the rearview mirror. But one verse that has encouraged me through every new beginning is Isaiah 43:19. It says, "See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland." I love that promise because God specializes in making a way where we can't see one. Even when the road ahead feels unfamiliar, He already knows where it leads. Another scripture that reminds me to keep moving forward is Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not into your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your path straight. Notice in that scripture, it doesn't say we'll understand everything, but it does say we are called to trust Him. Sometimes faith means taking the next step before we know the entire plan. So maybe today you're standing at the beginning of something new. Maybe you're afraid. Maybe you're wondering if you made the right choice. Can I encourage you with something? Don't confuse unfamiliar with being unsafe. Sometimes God calls us away from what's comfortable so He can lead us towards something better. When I look back over the moves that we made in the past, I don't just remember the challenges, and yes, there were many, but I remember God's provision. I remember doors opening at exactly the right times. I remember prayers that were answered in ways that we could never expect. Friends, if you're starting over today, don't let fear convince you that you're by yourself. The God who has been faithful in your past is already waiting for you in your future. He goes before you. He walks beside you, and He will continue to guide you one step at a time. Thanks for watching and for joining me and Flossy today. Look for another episode of Coffee with Miss T and Flossy. If this conversation encouraged you in any way, please, I would love for you to subscribe and share it with someone who needs hope today. Remember this, friends. Starting over doesn't mean starting alone. God is already there. He's preparing the way. Stay blessed. Have a peaceful day. Much love from Miss T and Flossy.